and welcome to Westfox. As you can see, it is not your normal host, Fox. It is me, Shepard, in a little segment that we are going to go ahead and call Shepard's Hearth. In today's segment, we're going to be talking a little bit more about Doctor Who, and I have in studio my good friend and brother here, Hunter, and I'll let him introduce himself.
Hey guys, I'm Hunter Ramsey. Let me just first say I'm honored to be on the channel finally. This is great, so can't wait to get into it.
Awesome. All right, so today's topic, we're going Doctor Who again. If you've already seen the prior video that Fox and I did on our best moments, I decided that I wanted to bring in someone else who got into Doctor Who actually a lot later than the rest of us did, at least like the brother-wise did. He came in at probably around the 2010s, later 2010s.
Yeah, sounds about right. 2011 or so.
Okay, so from that moment on, he hadn't started with anything, and we were talking off screen here, and we decided that I showed you the first episode of David Tennant when he first generates, and then after regenerates, and then after that point, we went ahead and went to you starting from the beginning with Eccleston. So with that, give everyone kind of what your take was. How quickly then did you become a fan, if you did become a fan? And go ahead.
Yeah, pretty much after you showed me that first episode, I kind of fell in love with the series. I was instantly interested in watching more and kind of getting behind this character that I've come to grow and love and respect a whole heck of a lot. It didn't take long. I definitely was instantly on board the fan train right there. So, yeah, it was great. I appreciate you introducing me to it.
Well, happy to. It's definitely a show that I think everyone, as we've talked about before, everyone should watch.
At least once. Who. At least give it a try.
Give it a try. And I think everyone we find something that they can take from the show, something that they incredibly enjoy from the show, whether it is the Doctor personally, whether it is in his companions, or whatever else. But today, we really want to go into one thing that I'm going to ask Hunter here. Who is your top three? What's your top three? Least favorite out of the top three, which least favorite saying.
Okay. Number 3 on my list would probably have to be Eccleston. As him being the first Doctor that I really saw, I fell in love with his very much human side. He's a damaged man immediately. You can tell that there was, without knowing much about the Time War or anything that had happened beforehand, you could tell he was a damaged man searching to do good in the universe. And for me, that just struck a chord that, this is the kind of guy I can look up to. This is the kind of guy I want to be. He maybe didn't have some of the best speeches or the best monologues, but he was quippy. He was snarky. He was using some of his comedy or whatever, I think, to deal with the trauma of what he had just witnessed in the Time War. So for me, that there was an instant connection of, I can appreciate this man's struggle. Very strong character, I think, and a lot of people maybe don't appreciate him the way I think they should.
I the first time watching through, I would say that I got through the Eccleston season. When I came back and actually rewatched it with you, and it's fun that you get to say that because at that point you hadn't seen the 50th anniversary.
No,
you hadn't realized that Eccleston was the Doctor right after the Time War.
Yeah, no clue up until much later.
So for me, then getting to rewatch, I had started to already know this stuff, and it did bring me a huge appreciation, and it's cool that you actually already kind of felt that.
Probably hit you a little harder the second time around.
It truly did, because like in those first moments, I don't want to take it from you, so I won't. No, I won't take it from you, but I think I'll ask you from this because I know what your answer will be, but
you don't know.
I don't.
I haven't answered yet. Go ahead. Ask away.
With that, then I know I was going to give you the top 3 from bottom, but what would you give Eccleston? Like, what gives you that moment for Eccleston that really, you were giving the quips, you were saying but is there something that really gives it to you that, is there a moment?
My flashbulb brilliant moment for him is easily when he, and I can't remember the episode, but the one where he quotes at the end, "Just once, Rose, everybody gets to live." And that right there was so powerful, and the way he delivered that, you could, like I said, you could tell that he was hurting, but in that moment there was an instant of calm, there was an instant of relief, of he finally could do something right.
Redemption.
Yeah, redemption, absolutely. You felt that right away.
And I think me coming back, and that's why I didn't want to steal it from you, because I knew it was, but yes, that hearing that quote in that scene, then realizing in the scape of it, the way that you start seeing it, he just came from thinking that he destroyed Gallifrey, all
Sure.
of his people, everyone gone. And then, yeah, I think it has a lot more weight, that scene. To me, I know coming back when he goes, just once, everybody gets to live, and you go, you needed that.
It was like you could see the yoke coming off his shoulders right there.
Yeah.
And he could finally stand proud. That for me was a defining moment for Eccleston. Again, one of the reasons why I love him as much as I do. Yeah, it was great.
Well, perfect. All right, so we've got that going on. There was anything else about Eccleston? Any good moments?
Oh, I'm sure there's tons and tons. Probably my favorite episode was him with the gas mask children. Are you my mummy? Love that one, because that was the first really kind of eerie episode that I saw. And he still, again, has that great moment where they're all walking at him, and he turns and says, "Now go to your rooms." And they actually start walking off, and he goes, "Wow, I never thought that would work." Again, that's that quippy little sarcasms that I like. And yeah, he was fun. He was painful, but he was fun.
That's
he
a good
definitely
way to
had
put
his moments.
All right, then. Number 2.
Numero dos for me is David Tennant. David freaking Tennant. I mean, I'll tell you right now, hands down, the acting chops on that guy. That is what made the season for me. And he had some great writers backing him up. He got to deliver some great one-liners, some really memorable speeches. And the transformation from Eccleston to Tennant, you could see he was a man on a mission. Tennant just wanted to do right and be the best person that he could, the best form of the Doctor. And he, on many, many occasions, hit a very emotional note. And the range, the breadth of his acting ability, and being able to go from that sad, humbled man to, if you come after me, there's going to be trouble. If you come after the people I love, there's going to be trouble. Don't make me have to do that. I don't want to. So, yeah.
The no second chances.
No second chances, exactly.
I think that is what I think. Then that's why I wanted to show you for sure that episode first off, because it gives a great. I think each Doctor has that episode that he gets to define who he is.
Oh yeah.
But that one for David Tennant I love, because it's a great moment of. It's like, yeah, I will only let things go so far. I won't let it pass.
You've crossed a line. I warned you once, and now I have to take my vengeance on you.
Yeah.
Maybe not vengeance. It's not a good word for the Doctor, but now I'm going to teach you a lesson you're going to wish I didn't have to teach you.
Like, yeah, like a parent wanting to trying to usher their child away from a bad situation. Then once they finally disobey and do it, then you have to go,
now
I have to punish you.
Yeah.
I have to do the actual punishment. There's no more, I tried to shelter you, but you wouldn't. Now you have to have consequences, so you will learn from it.
Very much so.
And yeah, I would agree. So other great moments, what are things that just like for you, just like cemented on that list, number 2?
Well, I'll go ahead and give you one of the quotes that I really, really liked from him that I think speaks volumes, that I think a lot of people could probably, like you said, maybe this show's not for everybody, but everybody can find at least one thing to connect to. and I think that would have to be, sorry, I'm looking at notes because I don't want to quote it wrong. Some people live more in 20 years than others do in 80. It's not the time that matters, it's the person. And
that's a good one.
I think, like I said, a lot of people should be able to connect to that, you know? We live in such a fast-paced world where everything's go, 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 and we want things instantly. We don't really sit and appreciate the little things. The people you meet along the journey, the adventure. You know, in Matt Smith, in 400 years of traveling or 900 years of traveling, I've never met anybody that wasn't important. Again, really connects with that quote from Tennant as well. You know, we can all do something special. We can all be motivated to help others, to reach out, to be the shoulder for people. And I think that was really a big part of who Tennant was for his seasons. He had so many different companions, and you saw him help so many people. He just, again, that redemption of wanting to move forward, to put the past behind him, to just do good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'd say that definitely the David Tennant's Doctor is hugely defined by trying to find redemption. Because I feel like for him, he never believes that he does, other than, and then he has to forget it, but it really is the 50th anniversary of realizing that he doesn't then destroy Gallifrey.
Right.
He's a part of it, but like I said, once the timelines sync again, he forgets it. So, again, all the Doctors do, other than Matt Smith, which is kind of that, which is always a hard part to have to, because you realize the moment you go, oh, they get to save it. That must be such a, oh, wait, they never remember.
Yeah.
They never get to remember it.
It's painful.
It is painful. And I think that's also what drives some of the most beautifully courageous or brightest moments of David Tennant in every Doctor, because it's, and I think the War Doctor mentions himself, where he kind of says, I'm trying to remember the exact wording, but he's just like, they were put through such what these men have become because of the decisions that I've done before. They know that I killed Gallifrey, so they've saved billions.
Sure.
And
that privilege of being the lesser man to light the fire, to stoke the flame of the men that come.
Exactly. And it's like but Tennant never feels like he attains it.
Yeah.
He never gets to, and
that's the hard part, because you want him to know. You want him to know that everything was okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't happen that way for him.
And then those moments where you see it bleeding through, like I love I love that little moment in the Queen of the Arachnos episode where he's standing there at the end and he's destroying them all with the little robots, and he's just sitting there letting it all burn.
Yeah.
And Donna's the one that pulls him away and says, "Doctor, it's enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got to come back." And it's like, ah.
It's great to see a companion actually be able to rein in the Doctor as well. And
the Donna Tennant relationship
was so great. It was so brilliant.
Was a beautiful one. At
least in my opinion, I thought it was brilliant.
You heard it from the Doctor's mouth.
They had such a wonderful chemistry together. There wasn't this manufactured relationship scenario like he had with
Martha.
Thank you, Martha. Yeah. It was two good old buddies hanging out, traveling across the universe, and doing good, doing the right thing, having adventures,
and liking to rib each other. Like,
yeah,
in a good
absolutely.
way, like I love these, like, Earth Girl, spaceman,
right.
those little moments of just wonderful way to end it, and then at the same time, the most tragic companion I think ever.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it's like, obviously I'd put, and again, I don't always know, like, put River Song as quite a companion, but at the same time,
she's on another level.
But I would say it's about a tie for at least somewhat of the tragedy between the two. But I think Donna tops it in just at least the sense that Donna doesn't get to remember again
all that
someone
stuff.
Else who doesn't get to remember saving everyone.
How important she was when she thought, beginning. She was just another random person, just a nobody. And here she becomes the most important woman in the galaxy. And
Galaxy singing songs of her heroism. And
yeah,
it's just
beautiful. I did want to mention my favorite episode probably with Tennant is the Midnight episode.
Yes.
Midnight was such a mind-blowing episode for me. I really, really enjoyed the fact that, yes, Tennant and Donna were together, but it was a separate episode. Donna was doing her own thing. She's relaxing at the spa that day. That's great. She deserved it after all they've been through.
Yeah.
But Tennant goes off on this little adventure that he doesn't even think is going to be an adventure. And the way he has to deal with a creature that nobody can see, that they know absolutely nothing about, that for me was scary. When you can't even identify what your enemy is, then you are working on basic instinct and skills at that point.
Adrenaline and instinct,
and a little bit of fear, probably. I'm sure you can see
amount.
the fear in Tennant's face in that episode, especially when it starts repeating and it starts trying to copy everybody, and then he realizes it's going to copy him since he's the smartest individual, and who knows what that thing could have become.
That's well, and
the fact that then he goes the fact that then at the end of the episode he goes back to Donna and she goes, "Oh, how was your day?" and he just kind of not collapses, but there's that sigh of relief, like, thank God you weren't there for that, because I don't know what I would have done.
Yeah.
And she can see it instantly in his face. And again, it's that good friendship, that brother-sister relationship where she just kind of comforts him then. And he needed that. He needed that at that point in his seasons.
Well, and I think, actually just thinking about the episode now and hearing you talk about it, there's two hidden creatures in that episode. There is both the actual physical creature that's after them, and then, and I think you'll agree with this, there's the creature of humanity.
Yes.
Of
what humans can become.
Of what humans can become when afraid.
Yep.
And the way that how all the other people on board, because fear takes over, how they react, how then they turn on the Doctor. And I think that for me was a fun one, because usually the Doctor's the one saving and kind of maybe not always glorifying, but I think it's Eccleston who has the moment saying, where it's like, I think it's one of those first few episodes where he goes like, you guys spread out and take over every corner of the galaxy. You guys never, you guys might get hurt.
The human race never fades away.
Exactly. And it's like, so he always has a positive view of humanity at one level. He knows our shortcomings and he calls us out on them. But this one, he's having to almost defend Alien, from the human fear, the human creature, even though it's like, and that's the scary thing about it, because it's like, that was one of my favorite creatures. And,
absolutely.
Absolutely. And
I had nightmares for that one.
Oh man. And and I know it actually, I think we'll bring into your final Doctor, but there's that episode where I thought they were bringing that creature back.
I know which one you're talking about.
And for a second when that was happening, I went, because if there was one thing that, I wish if they can get a good writing for it, there's two
That's
things
what they need right now.
There's two things from Tennant that I think I would love to see if they were ever brought back from Doctorwho, because they were threads. His daughter.
Yes.
Because I think there could be a great storyline there.
That'd be a great standalone movie.
Oh, yeah. And then I would say if there was something you could do about the midnight creature. Just, I don't know how you would do it. And like I said, you would have to find out a good script so it doesn't seem extremely forced. But at the same time...
You could do it.
At the same time, then, not to give it away, your final Doctor.
My final Doctor, number one for me, and this is probably, I don't know, I don't think everybody's going to agree with this. I know you guys have picked your Doctors as well, but hands down, I really, really enjoyed Peter Capaldi. I love, again, the transition going from Matt Smith, where you have this goofy house cat, that's uncoordinated. He's very much a boy. He's very much a child, with the exception of certain episodes. But you finally then transfer into Capaldi. And Capaldi from the get-go has that old man, grumpy attitude. I'm fed up. I'm tired. Not that he needs a break, but just he's tired of having to make difficult decisions. And the favorite thing about that is all they have Capaldi do is make difficult decisions. His entire season from the get-go is filled with choices that, in my opinion, have neither a right nor a wrong answer. So they kind of put him in this rock and a hard place sort of thing that I think kind of stretched his character enough. Made him have to act, but at the same time, nothing felt forced. Felt very natural for him to be dealing with the things he was dealing with.
I would
more or less.
Yeah, I would agree. If you haven't watched our prior video of Fox and I describing some of our best moments, and again, not an exhaustive list of best moments, and then I would even say a huge caveat to any top three. I think I'll say for Fox and I can't speak for Southhound.
He's a creature of himself.
Yeah, sometimes he seems more like a master than he seems like a doctor.
Oh God, the master! I didn't even. Yeah, that's a whole other discussion. We could go over favorite masters too. That'd be great.
That would be enjoyable, or just moments that the master just really screws with the Doctor in some great ways that define his character as
David
well.
Tennant, the master using the TARDIS as a paradox machine.
And the Togglefane.
And the Togglefane. Here, Tennant thinks, not to cut you off.
No, go for it.
Here, Tennant thinks he saved a whole race of people just to have it come back and bite him right in the butt. And the master is just smiling the whole way through. I love it. The dichotomy between those two is just brilliant.
I think always some great episodes when those two, and especially too,
they're dark.
Oh, they're dark, and then I always love because it's again you get to see because that episode for sure you get to see David Tennant really get brought low again.
You see him break down. I mean,
and it might be just drawing connections because now we know the whole storyline again. But it's like even for me going back in and seeing it, knowing that like you said he saves his whole culture, so he's kind of having his again another redemption moment of thinking he's saving everyone.
Yep.
And then those people come back to be pretty much tortured in the way that they're actually even brought back in that sense. I mean, they're used and abused.
Heads removed and put into little floating balls. That's terrible.
And so again, like he gets to get brought so down and so in pain. And I think people might disagree. I bet Southhound would vehemently disagree. But I love then the moment where he does still, at that moment where he thinks that the master has died.
Yeah.
He still comes to him as a friend.
Yeah.
He still comes to him as a true friend and someone still wants to help. And it's like it's always hard because especially for the master,
they were brothers on Gallifrey, they cared for each other.
Yeah.
You can see that.
So I was going to say, like I said, not an exhaustive list of all our favorite doctors. And I do want to say that I really do enjoy Capaldi. We might disagree a little bit between us here. We were talking about it earlier. I'd say that Capaldi as an actor and the doctor that he was were brilliant.
Yes,
I think the writing and the writing let him down. I think the storylines weren't always didn't get to give it. I think as much as the other doctors did, and I'll give one example of that. Every doctor, like I said earlier, has a good "I'm the doctor" moment.
Yes,
this is who I am, and I think it was probably like 4 or 5 episodes in for Capaldi's one where he finally got. Kind of that moment, and it's where the 2-dimensional creatures, and he's like, I'm the doctor, I'm the one that fights the monsters.
Right.
Now, that being said, to a point that I know you wanted to talk about as one of your favorites, the first question asked of Capaldi is a very different one that he asks Clara.
And that would be when he sits down next to her and says, "Am I a good man?" That, for me, instantly sealed the deal because it's such a powerful quote coming from the doctor. Again, coming from somebody who strives to do the best to save as many lives as possible. Am I a good man? He's doubting himself. He's not sure after all this time whether he's done enough or not still. And I think it's a very human question to ask. I think something all men and women at some point in their life probably ask themselves or their close family or friends, have I done good? Am I a good person? Are you proud of me? again, something that everybody can take away from.
And
it's such a human moment for the Doctor, and that's again why he's so great. They make the Doctor so humanly relatable, yet he's an alien. So,
and I know that you had mentioned a scene that it actually reminded you of that Am
yes.
I a Good Man?
It reminds me of the bridge scene from Saving Private Ryan at the very end, where Tom Hanks is talking to Matt Damon, and he draws him in close, and he says, "James, earn this. Earn this." You know, so many people sacrifice their lives for one man. And is that like the ultimate good? Is that, you know, to lay your life down for your brother? It really begs that question then. Did he earn it? And when it finally transitions back to the cemetery and he's an old man and his wife approaches him, he asks her that same question. Am I a good man? Tell me I'm a good man. Tell me I've lived a good life. Because I think there's always that worry. You know, you hit about your mid-20s and you start thinking, all right, what am I going to do for the rest of my life? What have I already done? What can I do in the future? And am I a good man? Am I a good person? Have I done right by others? Yeah, it's a moral question. It's great.
I would agree. And then, you know, for me, it was always interesting, too, because I think kind of bringing in maybe a partial spiritual level and then kind of just bringing it down to that level with it. You know, if you were to give like the Doctor as like a sense of character, you think of him as like an angelic character or a very, you know, maybe even a godlike character,
divine character.
Sure. I think divine character is a great way of placing it. He there is always this.
It's hard to find the words to describe the Doctor.
I mean, yeah, you know, like beyond. But like if you looked at him in that sense, yeah, like you'd say, you know, he is this. When he asked that own question of himself, and as like I said, when you look at that as an audience member, you're like, undoubtedly you're a great man.
Oh,
you're
of course,
a good man.
Yeah.
Like you've lived, you know, you've walked a path of nothing but selflessness in many ways
and hardships, pain, and you've pushed through it.
Exactly, and like I said, you've always tried to help people, and I think too, because what makes the Doctor always great, and I think why obviously as us as humans, again for that spiritual, it's like we know we're flawed. Mm-hmm. We know we screw up.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, and like I said, you know,
none of us is perfect.
None of us is perfect. And the people, you know, anyone who says they are, they're lying. You know, I know for myself, spirituality is knowing that every day I'm flawed. Every day I'm going to have to make sure that I'm practicing something.
Sure.
There was no, I think for humanity, as much as we can always practice and certain things will become second nature, there's nothing that ever fully is easily second nature all the time. You know, there's always something, there's always something to work through. And then we get to look at the Doctor as a man who is trying to reach that Christ-like sense, as I'll put it. And then you sit there and you go, well, you're a righteous man. I can't see how you aren't. So why are you asking this question?
Well, why are you even questioning yourself?
But at the same time, you sit there and then if you really do go to the human level, I mean, every little moment for us defines us, changes us, can affect us. And I know this was a bigger...
From day to day, you never know.
Exactly. And I know this was a big point that we wanted to bring up that both of us were talking about. Is like, you know, I'd say, obviously I'm speaking as a man for myself on there, but there's a lot of things about the Doctor that, yeah, I look up to and I'd say that these are attributes that I think most gentlemen, most men, and again, women would find that, you know, that's something you want. You want to be trusting, you want to be you want to be loyal, you want to be worthy of trust, not only to be, you know, trusted, but to be worthy of that.
Absolutely.
You want to be able to, I think most men want to protect. I think that's innate to us, that we want to protect those around us, those that we care for.
Sure, absolutely.
So to me, like I said, yeah, it's just when you get to see Capaldi ask that question, you both see, at first I kind of see him as the deity moment, going like, well, why are you asking that? The divine, and like, I don't see it. But then when you really do look at it, like if he is as human as, you know, and really they're trying to place it on it at the same point, it's like you said, we all have that.
Sure.
We all ask.
We all have that moment. Yeah.
We've all asked that moment of ourselves.
Being unsure.
Mm-hmm. So and I think it is great, and then so I'll let you go on that too. Like what kind of attributes did then for you that you've seen through the Doctors that you know you really personally take in, or said maybe not even maybe something that you have already felt that in yourself you were very much like, and you said, hey, I like that I already get to see that. And what is one that maybe you saw and you said, you kind of looked at it as like I say, I want to be more like that. I want to better myself to be more like that.
The Doctor as a whole, like you just mentioned, whoever they are, Capaldi, Tennant, Matt Smith, any of them, Tom Baker, whoever, they all strive to be like the ideal pinnacle gentleman. The Doctor holds such strong morals and such such love for life.
Yes.
That I think I kind of latched onto that really fast. Again, seeing so much pain that every Doctor has to go through. A lot of them are faced with choices that there is no right answer. It is simply make a decision and stick with it. You know, it's you got two bowls, pick one. So seeing them always persevere through those decisions, through the tragedy, through the pain, and still seeing the best in others, still wanting the best for others, still wanting to protect, like you said, to be that guardian for anybody who needs it. You know, you see so many different races that have been helped by him. It's a very admirable quality to always want to help, to always want to make people feel safe, to be trusted, to trust others. You know, it gets hard in this day and age because there's a lot of just weird random people out there. But you know, you got to try to see the best in things and make the best of bad situations. And for me, that's what the Doctor always does. He makes the best sometimes out of an impossible situation. And he's just brilliant. Again, with Capaldi, just to touch on it real fast, the episode where he has to save young Davros.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, he knows that this is his mortal enemy that creates this race of destructive creatures, the Daleks, and he still makes the right decision to save him. He still makes that very human decision of, I have to do everything in my power to do the best. And yeah, that perseverance, that decision making, that overall general good spirit, good-willed, good-natured person is something I think, you know, we should all strive to be like.
I agree. And, you know, I think one big thing, too, that everyone has to remember, too, and I think that's what I like also about Doctor Who is, again, we're flawed. So it's like we're going to have those moments, but when we do fail or when we do have it, not, you know, actions can be bad, but having an emotional outburst or having that frustration or that pain let out is not a bad thing. And I like and I like when the Doctor at least gets to have those moments where you do get to see that extremely, extremely human side where he really is like, I'm in pain by this. And I think, you know, I think a huge thing for Capaldi's Doctor is, because obviously he knows that Gallifrey is now kind of maybe not dead, but maybe just lost.
Sure.
But I think he's dealing with a far deeper pain now, because as I see it, because now his I mean, it's been hundreds of years since, you know, actually Gallifrey, and he'd seen some of those faces, but a lot fresher in his mind was losing so many companions over the last few seasons.
I would agree, yeah.
And I think that is one thing
he was really troubled by that.
Then I think so, because it was like, whereas Gallifrey obviously at first was his home being lost, and he got it back, but during that time frame, during that journey, he lost another home.
Yeah.
So many homes, and I think obviously the biggest one that hurts him is Amy and Rory. I think that was probably the biggest, like truly a family type thing, and obviously with all that happens in there, absolutely. And where it is, you know, like obviously losing Rose hurt,
but there was a different connection with Amy and Rory and River and all of them.
Oh, and a beautiful Capaldi moment is that final between him and River.
I would have to agree. That's a very nice moment.
Like that one.
That was something all of the fans wanted too.
Man.
Like,
we
let
needed
us see the end of that.
Well, it felt so good for both of them, because it's like, obviously you know how River's real end is right after, because it's the David Tennant episode in the library, but getting to know then that before that For 24 years, she got to spend with the Doctor, and then for me too, that, cause I'm trying to think, is that the last actually one, or was there another season after that I watched of that Capaldi? Because I haven't finally actually watched the final Capaldi.
I don't know if I have either. I should.
I know I do need to. I want to see it because there's just great Capaldi moments. Like I said,
absolutely.
An episode might not be good, but that doesn't mean that an actor or who he gets to portray is then
right.
Then should be like, oh, because that'd be like the same
he's
people.
He's got the chops. He's great, and that's like I said, I think he's kind of underappreciated the same way Eccleston is. I think people just kind of wrote him off as an old grumpy man, and I think there's a lot more to his character. There's a lot more substance there than what meets the eye. And if you take the time to get to know him and really understand that he's put in a position of, I'm tired of making decisions, but all I'm going to do is make the tough decisions. Mm-hmm. It really rings a bell, Keep going, keep fighting.
Never give in, never surrender, or never give in, never give up.
Never be cruel or cowardly. I mean, it really sticks out with Capaldi a lot.
Yeah, I would agree.
My three Doctors kind of bleed in with each other. I feel in a lot of ways they're all very similar to each other, but they're all very unique in their own special ways.
Well, I think it was Fox who said it in our prior video, saying like how each Doctor sometimes is like a foil. Is like a foil of a certain portion of that personality, or sometimes it's like it might be a little bit, it's like a little bit different, but it is. And I think there is, like I said, for me, I think there is that natural progression. You have the man who came out. You have the man right out of the war or right out of the situation. I'll put it that way. Like, if you came out of a traumatic situation, Eccleston's that one that comes out and, like you said, he makes the dark jokes.
Yep.
Like, if you just came out of a huge traumatic experience, think of something that really just kind of stuck with you. There's those people, and I'm one of them, so I can. Mm-hmm. That's why I say this. It's like coming out of a really bad situation, I make a dark joke. I get that joke because that's kind of like my first way of going, I need to work. I'm working through this. I'm working through this.
Yeah.
And then, so that is a lot of what Eccleston is. Tennant is then the one who's had some time to think a little bit more.
Yep.
And he's then the one drowning in self-doubt. And then, like you said, I think that's what drives his actions of redemption. Like, because
but still enough to where you can tell Tennant has more fun than what Eccleston had.
Exactly. Because it's like, and I think that's like that next stage where you start, I wouldn't say, because it's not the denial, because really in a weird way, they actually have the denial a lot later.
With Matt Smith, the man who forgets.
Exactly.
Yep.
But it's like, and I think that's why it fits too, because David Tennant is the man that regrets. He regrets, and then he makes up for those regrets, and I think that's the huge portion that I always like to take away from. Like, they don't say it's like, he's the man that regrets, but he makes up for him.
Tennant is the redemption seasons.
He truly is, and I think the only time that he falls away from it is the Time Lord victorious.
Yes,
because that is that moment for him where
you see him on that line, about to step over of going from hero to anti-hero, or not villain necessarily, but definitely anti-hero. But he was mad. He was a little power hungry.
He was so done with it, like you said, because I think I think it really is true redemption. I think it was good causes, a good reason behind it. But I think no matter what, the way that it was going to end, it couldn't, especially because I think the way that he expresses it to the girl too, just like, is there anyone that could stop you? Not anymore. There was, he didn't believe that there was anything now to stop him. And that's where, for me, again, even though at the same point that I say like, the Doctor I can kind of see as like that Christ-like figure trying to reach Christ-like, with that moment where you're trying to say you are God.
That's where you're pushing the line, buddy.
For me, that's where it's like, hey, as much as I like the Doctor and I think he's a great man, but it's like when you finally say there is no one above me, then it's like...
But it was also really cool to see that side of him, too.
Because it's like, and I know I said in the last episode,
great writing.
You want it, because there's a part of you that says you are a good man, so I want you to have all the power.
But if you do, we all kind of know the consequences.
It's like, always said absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yep.
And I think that holds true for humans and aliens. True divinity. Yep. Then we can have a discussion on that. But when it comes down to that level, and it was great. I think that there's so many moments, just that. Yeah, no, I don't know. I can't say,
how an alien can connect with humans and make them feel so human, and yet he humbles himself many a times, any of the doctors, they're all humble, and they all just want the best for everybody else because they know the pain and the loss and the tragedy that people can experience. And I think it goes to show too, like, you never really know what people are going through. You know, from day to day, you never know what struggles people may have, and I think Doctor Who then really speaks to those people and can give them some hope and give them, like I said, maybe you find that strength to keep fighting just from one inspirational quote from one episode. But yeah, definitely Doctor Who is a show worth checking out. It's worth watching. I can guarantee if you like anything sci-fi, you're going to get sucked into it right away.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like I said, we watched the one episode and I was hooked. I was ready to just dive into the world of Who. So...
The Whoverse.
I mean, if it makes you feel any better, I even have... I don't know if let me see. Let's see. I mean,
up in there.
I got
there
so into it that, you know, we got the Doctor Who tattoo rocking. And granted, yes, it is a dialect marking, but, you know, the dialects are so pivotive to that story.
Exterminate. Well, actually, you know...
Great stuff.
Since I think I do want to have this little moment, we'll kind of end out of here.
We've kind of rambling, but yeah, it was a great conversation.
One discussion I did want to have, since I know that you like the... and since I like Tom Baker... And since you like Capaldi, and they have actually a fun little mix scene because, like, as you were saying, where he gets to meet Davros as a young man, is now the second time that he gets the chance to stop the Daleks from ever becoming what they are.
Yep.
And for me, I think that's a great one. So for sure, whenever you get a chance, try to watch the classic Who. But
I got to catch up on those. Yeah.
It's a fun one because it's really interesting because he actually has to make the same decision, and it always brings in a good morality thing that I think Doctor Who was good with, and that is that moment, like you said, you know, would you kill someone that you know? And this is the exact question that was asked for the Capaldi episode. It's the same one that was asked then, like, knowing what the Daleks are going to become, if you could end it before, would you?
Right.
Now, for the Tom Baker one, at first he believes that actually time was a little bit in flux and that the people of the planet, they're actually called the Khaleds.
Oh, there you go.
So, which is funny because Tom Baker goes, Khaleds? Well, that's funny. That's an acronym of rights for Dalek. And it's like...
Sneaky. I like it.
Fun episode. And if you don't realize like why the Daleks sound the way they do... They are mimicking Davros almost to a T because he's the one that's like, exterminate, just losing his crap on people when he gets it. So
he's a great character.
He is a really good character. So, and I like that, like I said, both of them get to ask that question. And I think it is a good moral question that, you know, it's one that, admittedly, that's why I like it because I can see what you're saying. There's no right or wrong somewhat in that. Tom Baker's reasoning for the end of it is kind of that same thing. Like, since such bad... Yes, there was such horrific tragedy, but he mentions in there then later saying, like, you know, what happens afterward though? How many nations became allies? How many planet systems came together and saved people for other reasons because of the great tragedy? And I think, you know, and so I like that they asked that question, and it's a tough one because I think I can get it more close to home for, I think, humanity. If you could go back in time and kill Hitler, would you kill Hitler?
It's always been the lifelong question.
That's and I think that's exactly what it is. Like, that is the question that they get to ask there, and they get to ask that more for, I think, your episode, because the other one is more of like obviously, yes, that's a creation of it, so there's that sense, but he's not killing Davros in that one. He's more just destroying the research of the Daleks that would more happen, or the starting of it. But I always like that. That's a kind of always a good question that I really do.
Anytime a show can make you question yourself and make you look inwardly and go, is that what I would do? What would I do in that situation? It's important. I think anything that stirs up a conversation like this is a good show, is worth watching, is, you know, it can speak, like we talked about, it can speak to somebody on so many different levels that it's brilliant.
Purely from the surface level of, hey, this is great and I just enjoy this and this is just something fun, to then someone going,
wow,
like,
I really have a connection.
Yeah, like, you know, because I mean, from the most random things I know, you know, where you can find inspiration and strength and life-changing moments just because of a character or a TV show or a song.
Yeah.
Just or a book. I mean, they're just every type of media.
Yeah.
I think there's a huge personal connection, and I think Doctor Who, has always done a great job of that. I can't speak to the newest seasons. I really haven't watched them. I can't say that I will.
We'll get there.
Maybe not. We'll get there when we get there. If we get there, we'll get there when we get there. But we'll go the long way around.
Let's go.
But and I'm curious to hear from anyone in the audience. If you're watching this or anyone,
leave comments.
Please like and subscribe to Westfox in general. We're gonna try to do more videos. I want to do more of these little like Shepherd's Hearth little things together. Bringing back Hunter for some more stuff. Talk about some different things.
Chats.
Yeah, that's kind of what I want to go there. But I'm not stealing Dennis Prager's fireside chats. So
no, not that.
Not stealing that one.
It's
Don't
like
worry.
it, but it's not.
I don't have a fireside. Nothing. I got posters.
We should have.
But yeah, no, I am kind of curious to what people think on there, because I will say for myself, it's honestly a question I ponder. Like, if you could go back in time and kill Hitler, would you?
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of visceral first thought that you go, well, of course, I want to stop immense evil. I agree, but
what would
that change about history? And I think that's always the Doctor question that always gets to be asked. But like you said, take that deep look. It's kind of hard to fight against it, but I will, like, things like, unfortunately from what happens, but medical advances that happen because of this whole, it's like, and that was a question that's been asked about other stuff. Like, should we still use that medicine then, because we know where it comes from?
Sure. Should
future lives not be saved because of something that was
perceived as evil,
that was learned from evil, or at least
Sure.
evil acts? And I think that's always a question that is a tough one. I think it's a very extremely philosophical one, and I like that.
Absolutely.
And I like that Capaldi and Tom Baker's doctors get to actually kind of go through that question, and then again, every doctor gets to. And I know that we've talked about what we agree with and what we feel like we pull from, and there's a lot. There might be those few moments though that we disagree with the doctor's choice, and there's nothing wrong with that either, because I think that's what the point is.
Yeah.
I don't, it's like, I don't think you need to agree with them.
That's where the conversation starts.
Exactly, because that's where you ask yourself and go, like I think you said, okay, what would I do?
Sure.
Obviously we all have our fun. What would Jesus do? What would the doctor do? But what would you do?
Yeah.
So I'll leave you with that, guys. Leaving with you some philosophical question right at the end of some Doctor Who funness.
Some heavy to think about.
Something, yeah. So otherwise,
thank you for having me on the channel.
Almost definitely, sir. That. We will have you back on again. And
right on.
Everyone, have a wonderful night.
Have a good night.